Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 23. I'm your host, Adam T. Cummings, and I'm sitting down today with Corporal Dawn Keegan, United States Marine Corps. She served from the years 1989 to 1993. She's currently CEO of her very own startup venture, Verimour, as well as an author of her very own book, Honestly Speaking, Know Thyself and Transform Your Life. Today, we're going to be talking about the importance of relationship building, how to overcome adversity, veteran entrepreneurship, and continued service after initial sacrifice. A big shout out to all of our sponsors. Shout out to my producer, Anthony Kovic of the Tampa Post. And if you know any veterans that would gain from listening to what Dawn has to say today, please share and like this video. I really appreciate it. So let's jump right into it. All right, you ready for this, Dawn?
I'm ready.
So give us a little synopsis of what's going on with Verimour, what your vision is for it, and what you're doing to bridge the gap being currently left by other applications and things in communications.
Verimour was first conceptualized as just a dating app, in part because I saw the horrible behavior that was going on. I understood that it was, as long as we're behind this phone, we're not real people.
Yes.
Fake Facebook accounts, fake social profiles turned into fake dating accounts. But what really lit the fire under me is when I started, as a military veteran, started seeing and identifying the fake military profiles. Because people who are not military, they didn't know what verbiage to look for. They didn't know the red flags. And so people were losing money because it was a really easy scam to say, sorry, I can't meet you, I'm overseas. And then they would ask for money. They would take advantage of people who didn't know better. And the crazy thing was the people who I would say, I'm a Marine, and they would still try to scam me. It's like, really? At any rate. So that was what we started with, the dating app. But then later we realized we could add a friend profile. And the foundational feature for Verimour was identity verification. Everyone in there, you can create an account without being verified. However, you cannot communicate with anyone. If you are not verified, none of the social interaction things will be available, the icons. However, if I am verified and you're not, and I tap on chat, it'll come up and say, this person isn't verified, would you like us to let them know you're interested? And that encourages you to get verified. But the important thing is, relationships are so stressful anyway. We don't want you to waste time trying to figure out if people are real, not real. Then, more recently in the news, heavily highlighted that statistic of 22 veterans committing suicide every day.
Yes.
That's not just, I mean, those people, when they're gone, they're gone. They've left the pain behind. But all of those family members and loved ones who come and find that's forever for them. And that's so much pain. While you and I are talking, there's 20 people out there hurting so badly that they will not wake up tomorrow. And that's a lot of lives ruined. So with our friend profile, we have dating and non-dating profiles. With the friend profile, you can go in, we have searchable interest tagging. So you go in, you say, I'm a veteran, I like this and this and this, and then you can go find people who are like you. And why that's so important, I had never been depressed a day in my life. I spent 4 years as a Marine, 4 years as a writer for the Marine Corps. Those were two things that I knew I did really well. And you know, as a Marine, we're very proud. We get out, all of a sudden, we are like everyone else. We don't have an identity in our heads, and we think we're not worthy because of that. And so I got depressed, and then I had...
Without ever being depressed before, for the first time you got depressed.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And you know, because we expect, so as a Marine especially, but all of our military members, we need that support system because we expect so much of ourselves. It's like, I did this and I went to war, or I did whatever it was. You don't have to be a combat veteran to still experience that disconnect. And so what our primary, again, while anybody can use the app, what we're trying to do is, there's a lot of Vietnam era, about 30% of the need is Vietnam era veterans, like my dad sitting around saying, he's waiting to die because he's lost contact. His wife has passed away, his kids are to the wind. And so we need to connect these newly separating veterans or about to separate veterans with the veterans. It gives these guys, these men and women, a purpose, and it saves these people's lives. And then eventually, they get over that hump. It's just that initial shock factor. We are really good at building warriors, soldiers, Marines, but we stink at turning them back into civilians.
We don't care.
I'm not sure.
No, it's all right, this is the thing. We put the onus on the military that's made to create warfighters to train them to not be warfighters anymore.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense. Why are we putting the onus on active duty military to tell people how to transition?
Right.
Why are we not taking that onus on ourselves out here
Right.
who have successly transitioned,
Right.
who have found that transformation, who have found purpose out here? Why is that not on us? So
And the thing is, well, and that's the funny thing is there's you, there's me, there's so many people who want to help, but getting the word out and making that connection and having that, so
bridging the gaps.
Exactly. And if we can begin that network and give them a system, that they can use it anywhere. And the beautiful thing about us targeting or marketing to the military right now, or embracing the military, is that we can get you our active duty people overseas, because we can verify you right here. We don't have to worry about the country customs and rules and all those kind of things, because we can, like Tough Mudder, they give discounts to veterans, and so we have a system in place already to verify that. Veterans, active duty, they will never pay to be verified. And because that's our giving back to them, we will always cover that. And I've forgotten what I was going to say a second ago, but anyway, so.
Yeah, it's fine. It happens. I do it sometimes when I'm actually the one hosting it, so it's not that big of a deal. Let's talk a little bit about your Marine Corps story. So let's talk a little bit about your childhood and who you were as a kid, which you said you're the same person you were as a kid as you are today, just gun-ho, goes after what you want, do what's right. So what made you pushed you towards the military, and specifically the Marine Corps?
Well, I am the same person in that I've always had an intrinsic value and knowledge but I was much more of a shrinking kind of person. You would never have pegged me. Well, yes, insecure, but mostly I just didn't know how to voice, and I didn't, as a child, I didn't think, because I come from an abusive mental and physical family, so I didn't think it was, I didn't feel safe to do those things. At any rate, I got pregnant at 15. I was barely 16 when my son was born. I raised him for 5 years and then allowed him to be adopted. The hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
But it's, again, everything that I've ever been through had to happen to bring me here. But so right after he was adopted, I wanted to go to school. I had promised my grandparents that I was going to finish college. The military for me was the way to pay for it. My dad was Air Force, his brother was Navy, my brother was Army. We had a long military family. But because I dropped out of high school, I didn't know. I had never been recruited, so I didn't know. And I took my ASVAB, I went in, and I said, I'm a photographer, I want to remain a photographer. The Marine Corps chose me. They were the only ones to guarantee me the MOS I wanted. I went in, I was not only a photographer, but they also became public affairs. So I was a writer too. I wrote for our base paper. The Marine Corps taught me that I was a good storyteller, that I could take all that empathy and all that pain and all that knowledge I had of human behavior and human nature and funnel it into my stories and touch people and take stories that would have just been mundane and really infuse them with something that touched people and change their lives. So I went. My first 2 years was at Parris Island. I cried because that's the recruit training base. It's like that's where all the bad people are. We do not want to go back there. It was a great duty station.
Yeah.
I was in.
When you're not on the receiving end of the recruit training.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a great duty station. And I got to meet some amazing people. I interviewed a Medal of Honor recipient, the youngest ever Marine. He forged his papers at 14, threw himself on a grenade, went AWOL to go to Iwo Jima because his unit wasn't deployable. His name was PFC Jacqueline Lucas, an amazing man. 17 when he got the Medal of Honor. So I rubbed elbows with. I am proud of being a Marine, but more so for the men and women who came before me. Phenomenal people. Yes.
Yeah, the tradition is what we're so proud of.
Absolutely.
And that's why we always say, once a Marine, always a Marine, is because our whole history, that is what the Marine
instant camaraderie.
Corps.
It's instant.
Yeah. I literally today, I was walking to this building and I saw a young man, high and tight, very clean, looked like he just probably got out of boot camp. And his girlfriend was wearing his Marine Corps jogger top.
Yeah.
And I said, "You Marine?" He's like, yep, Semper Fi. And he's just like,
Yeah.
Semper Fi. I don't think he's really received that yet.
Yeah.
So he got all like, you know what I mean? And it's just, his girlfriend was like, what the hell was that about? And he's like, it's just what we do.
It's automatic.
You know?
The grocery store parking lot the other day, I saw a truck. It said Vietnam veteran, and it had a Marine Corps thing. I followed him, parked next to him. We walked through the grocery store together. He's again, Vietnam era. He's put me in contact with some of the people, but it's instant. You love each other.
Understand each other.
But again, because of that pride, we need each other.
Yes.
And when we get out, like I said,
isolate.
We think that we should be able to do anything, and we can handle it.
We haven't handled anything on our own the whole time we were in. Why do we believe all of a sudden we can do it while
exactly.
we're out?
And the thing too is like, my business partner is my ex-husband, and when we were married, and I would get down, he's like, "You're a Marine, you can do anything." But for me, being a Marine, it wasn't that difficult. I was already, I was intelligent. I was fit, so it wasn't that much of a stretch. So while I knew I was a Marine, I also knew I could do much more. But when we first get out, we feel we're too proud to ask.
Oh, yeah.
And
for 3 years, I wallowed in my own misery just because I couldn't ask for help.
Yeah, exactly.
And now all I do is ask for help because I don't know what I'm doing, but we're figuring it out.
Right.
And you surround yourself, like I said, surround yourself with great people.
And you find, as soon as you start asking, you find there are so many people who want to help. They're everywhere.
Yeah, especially here in Tampa.
And they need, not only do they want to help, but they need you. They need that connection just as much as you do. That hug, that oorah, I am a compulsive, chronic complimenter. I can't help it. I will chase you down to give you a hug. And so many people have turned around and said, "You don't know how much I need it." I say, "Yes, I do, because I need it." Yes, that making you smile makes me smile, and that's what
be the change you want to see.
Exactly. Everything about Verimour is built because I want to protect you. I want to make our communication more honest. Our relationships, there's not a single one of us out there who doesn't have a relationship that could be improved with better communication, because we've really disconnected. We've got more tools than ever, and we don't know how to use them. We don't use them, properly. We just use them to tear each other down. And if we improve each other, if we get better communicating, we get happy. We use our gifts to improve the world,
And it's the thing is, people are constantly changing that external gratification and materialistic money, this and that. When all they really they're chasing themselves. They're chasing a relationship with themselves. I'm constantly chasing a relationship with me. It comes and it goes.
Right.
But you have to stay moving towards that. So tell us a little bit. Leadership's huge in the Marine Corps. I love talking about leadership. Tell us a little bit about, what were some of the leadership principles you learned while in that kind of helped create the woman you've become today?
Well, the most important thing about leadership is you lead by example. You have to show them that I am willing to work harder. I was so proud. I was a bodybuilder. I deadlifted 315 for reps, and I was no male Marine was carrying my pack. He wasn't doing anything for me, and I'm still that way. It's like I might accept help, but if you suggest that I have to have it or I need it, no, I will break my back. I'm very, very strong, but it was so important to me because the Marine Corps has very few women anyway. They're much smaller. It's not an equal percentage. In public affairs, it's even fewer. So I was the only woman in my office for a long time. When I deployed to Desert Storm, I was the only female in this big old GP tent. I had to bolt out to the bathroom, which is nothing but chicken wire because it's all men. They don't care. I had to bolt out, do my thing, get back. I go to change clothes behind the tent. A helicopter flies over. But I worked with, and I loved because I loved showing that I could do it like they did. And you have to lead by example in your company, in your life, everything. I can stand here all day long and tell you what you need to do, but it's not going to resonate. When you see the way I live and see the way my life has turned out because of it, then it's like, oh, hey, that might work. So let me do what she's doing right. And they start asking their own questions. Yeah. They have to come to it on their own. So that's the essence of leadership, is just by example.
Why'd you study it out?
I was married to a Marine. He had joined when he was 17. He was a recon Marine.
Hey, how are you?
And he took an early retirement after 17 years, and as a recon Marine, he had been all over the world, and he just didn't want to be a military spouse. So, and like I said, I had said, okay, Dawn, you've joined to, in order to get college, then college is what you need to do. And so I got out in order to be a wife and a student. And again, even he had been out for a year. I came home from Okinawa, we got married, and I went back. So he had been out for a year, but he didn't know how to, he didn't have the skills to help me transition. And we ended up divorced, held hands walking the courtroom, still no malice to this day, but he did not have, he didn't know how to help me. Right, exactly.
Yes. So other than that, and then a little bit of depression you faced, what were some other trials and tribulations you had to overcome during your transition? And what were some of the resources you used, if you used any?
Well,
it's not the way it is today, so.
Well, and again, you were talking earlier about the system is overburdened. Both, yes. My dad, he was Vietnam era. He has been now, for a long time he had insurance, things like that. But he has, leaned on the VA system and those for. 60, 70, whatever it is, 50, whatever, since Vietnam, since the 60s, as long as I've been alive, 50 plus years. So, they are over. It's not that they don't care or they don't want to help, but it really needs to be on us, because we have the knowledge and we have the ability, and we aren't burdened by the same rules and red tape and such. So the system is just overburdened, and they aren't necessarily creative. It's just they've been doing the same thing the same way for all those 50 years. So it's up to us now.
I was actually thinking about this the other day randomly, about how we have all these people in government that are in charge of spending our tax-paying money, but we're only paying them $35,000 a year. Why are we not investing in those people we want to work in? Why are we not paying our accountants $100,000 a year so they don't throw money away, so they don't miss debits here or credits there? Why, that's the questions I randomly just brought it up. And so Adam mind, this is how it works. She knows. We're just like, squirrel. All right. Moving on.
Well, the thing with that is that I think one of my biggest frustrations is how many times I hear, oh, well, that's just the way it is. It can't be.
I hate that. It's not my job. Oh, there's nothing worse. There's nothing worse. That's the problem. With
all my heart, I believe that there is no problem that cannot be fixed with the right team and the right. Somebody earlier, it was you, I think it was, I overheard you when you were speaking earlier, just talking about this is your passion. This is what drives there. I have no choice.
There is nothing else for me. This is it.
You can't. Don't bet against Marine. Don't bet against somebody who has nothing to lose, and I have nothing to lose. And don't bet against someone whose passion is the service of others.
Yes.
Because you will do things. You imagine you would run into a burning building for your child. You would lift the vehicle for your spouse. You will do things for other people that you wouldn't do for yourself. And so when your passion and your driving force is the protection and the safety and the care of others, you're unbeatable. That's all there is to it.
Absolutely.
Because you will attract the right people.
Yes, and I 100% agree with that. So we're talking about people and surrounding yourself with good people, attracting the right people. How important was relationship building and then fostering those relationships that you built and established for your career and what you've done so far? Again,
my ex-husband is my business partner. He knows me better than anyone in this world except me. And he wasn't surprised when I asked for a divorce, because I had told him I am honest. It's like, look, I'm not asking you to change, but I'm saying I can't live like this. So it was amicable. Yeah, it wasn't. We went through a tough time, but it was amicable, and we've always been friends. There's probably hardly a day that we haven't talked in the 20 years we've known each other. And because of that, we have this amazing app. And we have an incredible mission, something that could have never happened with anybody else. I have talked to many development teams and that sort of thing, because they couldn't see my vision. They couldn't understand. They thought they did, but what they would bring me was, you're not even close. Sometimes I have to see it and tweak it a little bit, but he understands the motivation behind it. He understands how I think. There's nothing and he's genius behind a keyboard. There's nothing that I can't envision that he can't create. But
that's really hard to find.
And we had to, again, we went through some tough communication times, and it wasn't always easy. There was some anger, there was some hurt, but you get through that. And if you start from an honest place, It's so much easier. You can do that. Yes. So.
What made you author your own book? That's something I want to do. I know a lot of people that want to do it, but you went and did it. You wrote it. It's
I keep saying that this is all charmed and that everything happens the way it's supposed to. I ended up in Texas because my mom passed away. I got divorced while I was there. I was in San Antonio for a year, and then I moved to Austin. While I was in Austin, I was doing life coaching, and I had joined the chamber. And so I went to the chamber, and I had a blog. When I'm inspired, I'll just, write. I mean, you're a very prolific writer.
Thank you.
You know when
flow state.
Right. When you
take advantage of it.
Because
sometimes I just sit there.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. You can't force it.
No.
If I sit and if I take a topic and say, oh, I'm going to write about this, if I'm not feeling it, but my best writing is when I have, it's impassioned. Yes. So I went to a chamber event, and there happened to be a publisher there. Now, I didn't meet her, but I had used, I'd given a gift card, a gift certificate, a voucher for coaching, and she heard about that, so she went and looked up my blog. So she reached out to me a day or so later, and she gave me one of the most amazing compliments I've probably ever heard. I have on my blog, which is right now, it's honestlydawn.com. I haven't posted in a while, but she had read it. And I have, back in January of 2015, this goes to show you how long ago that the veterans were in my heart. I posted an entry. It said, the real people of Walmart, with quotes around real. And I was talking about veterans that I had met there and interacted with. And at the end I said, what does it have to do with fitness? Nothing. It has to do with the common thread of humanity that runs among us. And, I closed it out with, we all have gifts, and if it's just, no matter how good or how bad your life is, if you just make someone smile, it makes you feel better, it makes them feel better, we improve the world. She read that, she said it nearly brought her to tears. Now, I certainly didn't set out to do that,
No.
but the fact that I could, so she said to me, have you ever thought about writing a book? And I said, yeah, I had some ideas, but I'd never thought of writing a coaching book. And it really made me sit down, and I had to reflect, okay, what is special about you? What is unique about you? What can you teach other people? And how can you, again, how do you show them? And so the book is all about stories, some very personal stories, mine, other people I know, the worst case scenario, people dying alone and feeling unloved because they could never look at their own hearts, that they didn't own their own gifts. And so I step by step. So it was again, very fortuitous. She just put me on that path. And then once that, I have several more books I want to write, things like that.
Go bigger, go home,
Of
right?
course, absolutely. Once you get the bug and you realize you can do it, it's like, this is what I'm supposed to do. It took me nearly 50 years to figure out what I could do best in the world. But between the podcast, the blog, the book, the app, it's my job for the rest of my life to help people communicate honestly, to help them be happier and turn their gifts around, improve the lives of their children, improve the lives of everyone around them.
So how imperative is fostering your personal brand throughout this whole thing? Because that's all you. And so again, like I said in the other interview, it's important that you make your brand about you, but it has nothing to do with you at the end.
Right.
It's about who you're trying to help or trying to target.
Everything I do for you, but every little detail, from the color, and so this is how it sort of came about. We knew that the most important feature was ID verification. So we had verify, and we had a more, because love, because originally we were dating apps. So Tony, I never name anything. Tony came up with Verimour. Then we realized that the French word for truth was vérité, and the French word for love was amour. So it's like, I like that, Verimour. That's a much better story. My friend in Texas said...
Validation through truth and love.
Exactly.
Brilliant.
And we changed, our tagline used to be Love Honestly. When we switched to the friend profile and being more universal, it's now Connect Honestly. But it's the same thing. It's like we want love, no matter how you call it. We want love in all aspects of our life. I love you as a Marine, as a human being, as
we share the same passion. We share the same.
We hurt,
path.
we bleed, we love the same.
There needs more love in this world.
Exactly.
That's
less judgment.
It's a universal language.
Exactly. And then I was trying to figure out a logo, and I liked simple. And a friend of mine said, well, pick out some that you like. And so I like Gucci. And he's like, well, Gucci is like the Medusa head. He said, so look at the deities, the gods, that thing. So I came across, it was a a sun for like one of the ancient things, and I just liked it. And I realized my name is Dawn, so that kind of made sense. But then also, for the sun is a sign of hope, renewal, the sun coming up, the new day. Again, how many of these people are not going to see tomorrow, not going to see the sun come up? It is, it's like you're in your darkest hour and the sun comes up and it's like, okay, I've made it one more day. And sometimes 24 hours can make all the difference. Oh my gosh, absolutely, exactly. So the sun coming, and so every detail, everything from the beginning has been about how I want to be different. You've got to know that we are not Facebook, we are not Tinder, we are not Meetup. Exactly. Everything about us is different, and we want to set ourselves aside, but every little detail has been considered from the beginning.
Why Florida?
I have a lot of roots in Florida. My son was born in Tallahassee. Both sets of my grandparents lived in Florida. I've been in and out, but I have ties to 25 out of 50 states. I am the proverbial Rolling Stone. I was born in California, yes, but it's because I'm very close to fearless. Not entirely fearless, but very close. So I got out of the Marine Corps. I was in Tallahassee to go back to school for a bit. Then I got divorced from my first husband. My brother lived in Colorado. I was like, I've never been to Colorado. I went out and lived in Boulder for a while, drove cross country. Oh, Boulder is amazing. I failed land nav in boot camp. So the Rockies are just always due west. There's like, only time in my life I've always known what the compass direction was. Always. But no, it's stunning, it's beautiful. But yeah, I lived in Texas. I don't shy away from things. It's like wherever the path takes me, I want to put down roots. California, eventually I want to get back there. My goal is to see the sunset over the Pacific Ocean for the rest of my life from my balcony. I'll get there. It's a process. But right now, my son lives in New Smyrna. Oh, okay, by the way, I guess I have to go back and circle back to that. He and I got back together when he was 12. And then as a teenager, and now he and I are roommates, to help each other through all this. He's my marketing person,
awesome.
But we're better friends than anything else. I mean, we have a great relationship, so. Yeah.
It happened the way it should.
Yeah.
It happened the way it needed.
It absolutely
and he's still in your
does.
life, and that's really important.
Oh my gosh.
And that just shows where your head was at the whole time.
Yeah.
Just because you had to do what you had to do doesn't mean you ever forgot about it.
No, of course not.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I first got out of the Marine Corps, my husband was traveling, and I woke up from a dream or a nightmare crying with my arms, and I'd imagined my son had fallen off of this thing, and so I woke up crying with my arms. I hadn't seen him since he was a small child. He was older at that point, but in my head he was still a small child. So yeah, you never forget that.
Mom bear,
no. So
what does being a vetpreneur mean to you, veteran entrepreneur?
Well, they were separate in so much as I was a veteran for the reasons I said, and I love the Marine Corps. I say I'm an entrepreneur because either I quit or they fire me. I want to fix everything, and most companies don't want you to fix things, which, again, the Steve Jobs quote is, it doesn't make sense to, paraphrase, but it doesn't make sense to hire smart people and tell them what to do. You hire smart people so they can tell you what to do, but most people don't want you to tell them what to do. So, but
management, leadership.
Right. And for me, like I said, I didn't set out to make Verimour a military thing, but it's a community that I know so well, and I know their pain, and so I can reach out to them, and they go together. I mean, you can't separate. Once you become a vet, a military active, you cannot separate that from any other aspect of your life. I am a Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. And
I think that's where people. I think you do need to take it when you get out to take a step back from that to discover who you are without it.
Right.
But then to re-embrace that into your life.
Right.
Because it is who you are.
It's not everything you are. But it's a part of who you are, and an important part.
Important part that if you leverage correctly.
Right.
It'll just make all the difference.
And again, it has allowed me to take. I would have never. There has been nothing intentional about my path in the sense that I didn't say at 5 years of age, oh, I'm going to be a Marine and write books. Not at all. I have just been open to whatever came along and looked for the best place for me to use my gifts.
And so mindset's been a big aspect of that.
It's huge.
What were some things you did to overhaul your mindset? What were some resources you used, some books you read? How were you able to continue moving forward with the Marine Corps mentality when life out here sometimes is just mounting?
Well, again, because of my depression, I was misdiagnosed with a mental illness. For 16 years, I owned that diagnosis. I didn't say I have this. I said I am this. Yep. And because they said, these are what you're supposed to take. And the only time in my life I attempted suicide was taking those meds. And I finally came to the realization that whether I am or not, I cannot survive taking these meds. And so I took ownership of my life. Now, I knew I had a good support system, and I let my husband know, hey, this is what I'm doing, keep an eye on me. And I got past that. There have always been influences and things like that. Good people in my life. I've been very lucky, but I just had somewhere deep inside from very early, I just knew that I had something to offer. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how it would manifest, but I knew I had something, and that just kept me going. And I will figure out the path of where, and eventually I did. Again, and we get caught up in the, I should be here at this age, or I should be married, I should have kids, I should have this job, and that's the thing for men too, is that they really, they label, so it's like I'm supposed to be the provider and I'm not supposed to be weak, and it's like, just let all of that go. There is no should. You are who you are. Own your gifts, own your challenges, and there's people who, if you ask, there are people who you need them, they need you, and they're there for you. There's no weakness in asking for help. Again, like you said, we lean on each other. No man left behind.
Community over competition.
Exactly. You know.
And
go ahead.
What would be a sage piece of advice you'd give a transitioning military member, regardless if they're not even out yet, like we met Philip, or what about a Vietnam veteran who is on their lap? Like, what is a piece of advice you'd give them to help hang on that one more day, to go after what they dream about, to make something out of this life that they never thought was possible?
I've long said that I don't think everyone should have to be in the military or should be in the military, but I think everybody should want to, or be willing to if necessary. But the fact is, if you were in and you served any amount of time, that is something amazing. Do not regret it, and allow people to, so find those connections, reach out and find someone, because there are vets. If nothing else, get you a shirt, get you a hat that has and walk out. Just say veteran. Somebody is going to walk up and say thank you for your service or something. Get out of the house and find somebody. Just make that connection. Sometimes just interaction with a store clerk is all you need, but don't hold yourself away, because it doesn't help. Humans are naturally communicative people.
Yes.
We are, we don't need a lot of people, but we need someone. And it may just, if you're, a solo kind of person, you may just need a little bit of interaction, but do whatever it takes,
Dawn, it's been incredible. I could sit here and talk to you for another couple hours. I'm sure you'll be back on. We're probably going to do something together. This woman is the truth, everybody. I'd like to thank you so much.
Semper Fi, Devil Dog.
Semper Fi. Thank you. That concludes another episode of Vetting America. I'd love to thank everyone at home for joining us. If there is anybody that you believe can take away from what Dawn has talked about today, if you know anybody that could use the motivation, please send this video to them. Please like and share it. Share it to your Facebook groups. If you want to sponsor an episode to help me take this to the next level and make Vetting America the vision I dream it to be, I would love your support. If you just want to donate to the show, I'd really appreciate that as well. Let's bring as many people together as possible. Let's bring this information outlet to everyone, because together we are stronger than apart. And I truly believe in community over competition. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Rich and McIntyre of McIntyreFirm.com, Chris Mistos of Podfest.us, and of course the great Anthony Kovic of the Tampa Post. Dawn, Keegan, one more time, thank you so much. Verimour, check it out on the iTunes.
Both app stores.
Verimour.
Verimour.
Next level social application. Yep. Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful afternoon. Live from the Attic Cafe in downtown Tampa. Thank you.